And if I had to be another person to stand up, if I think, after really going through this, and looking at the files and looking at the case, if I really feel that Karen Reed didn't do this and I have to be a voice that stands up and helps, I will.
We are expecting to learn more about the allegations against the girlfriend of a Boston police officer who was found unresponsive in the snow Saturday morning. I-Team sources say Karen Reed was in a relationship with John O'Keefe. She's facing charges including motor vehicle homicide and manslaughter.
We're the only ones fighting for the truth of what happened to John O'Keefe. And me and my family and my attorneys and my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. Just feels like no one else wants it.
Now, just be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
Yes, we do.
And no, she didn't do it. No, she didn't do it. This is an innocent woman. She didn't do it.
I tried to save his life.
Yeah.
I tried to save his life at 6 in the morning. I was covered in his blood. I was the only one trying to save his life.
Why'd you admit to it?
She didn't admit to it. She didn't admit to anything close to that. Nothing close to that. And you should know that.
That was like 3 or 4 times she admitted to it.
No, she didn't.
That's not true.
She asked a question. She asked a question, which is very different. She didn't admit to anything.
I'm going to tell you one thing. Karen Reed's not going to fold. Karen Reed's not going to give up. Defense team's not going to quit. The Free Karen Reed movement is going to continue. We will continue to raise funds for her. We will continue to do standouts across Massachusetts, across the nation, across the world to let everybody know what's going on here in the state of Massachusetts, the corruption. And we will continue to get the word out there. Believe me. Believe me. All right. Day 15 in the Karen Reed retrial, and the defense was poking some holes today. Robert Alessi on point and took a great stance at the end of testimony today, which was really the exciting part of it when he had Maureen Hartlett, Mass State Police Crime Lab tech, up on the stand, questioning her about the glass fragments that were left, the drinking glass, the cocktail glass on Karen Reed's bumper, that questionable J-shape or C-typed human hair, and then obviously banging away at the red Solo cups that had the apparent blood in it that night that was never tested by the Mass State Police Crime Lab. And yeah, it was some really heavy testimony at the end. You know, I just want to say Maureen Hartlett never tested the blood stored in those red Solo cups. She confirmed that although the samples were collected, the Commonwealth never tested them to confirm it was blood or whose blood it was. So we'll never know how many people may have contributed to it. But Alessi was getting on, Alessiing her. And then obviously it was 3:50 and it's Bev time. And we had to stop court for today, but it will pick up tomorrow at 9 a.m. Tonight is Wednesday night with the Wednesday night rundown. And I want to bring in my favorite courtroom insider, Jess Machado. How are you, Jess?
Hi, Bestie. How's it going?
It's going well. What a wild week so far. We had a day that we missed in court yesterday. There was reports of what unfathomable circumstances. I forget the word the mainstream media used, but I know that right away the chatter started and you and I started communicating right away. Have you heard anything? What's going on? And, you know, Jess and I were texting right away, but come to find out, Karen was ill and she just couldn't be in court. How did that go for you? What did you think? I thought right away, it was like, oh my God, I hope it's not something with Karen's parents. You know, that was the first thing that I came to mind was like, oh, I hope her mom and dad is okay.
First thing for me was mistrial. My phone was absolutely going crazy.
Yeah.
So I got that email obviously through the public communications through the court, and I didn't do anything other than literally screenshot and throw it up on my Twitter right away. And I was like, let's get it out first and then ask questions later. So I put it out.
Jess might have a little Wi-Fi.
Regular people were like, first thought was mistrial, like mistrial. Let this be a mistrial. And so I'm not saying I was disappointed that Karen, but it is the least of, it wasn't on my bingo card. You know what I mean? I was hoping it was something else. And then I know you guys should know, like viewers should know, like my first person to call is Brian. I'm like, let me get on the phone with Brian. Let me see what Brian's got. And obviously then you got to read that it was, Karen was sick.
Yeah. I went to my close source.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. I mean, she's not a healthy person, has issues.
Yes. Yeah. Your Wi-Fi is boggling there.
That's weird. I'm wondering what's.
Do you want to go out and then come back in again?
Like,
You want to try go?
I make my kids like shut off their Wi-Fi. Let's try it again. And problem for you.
Okay. You want to go out and come back in again?
Do we want to try that?
Well, you're good now.
Okay. All right.
Why don't you try exiting and coming back in?
Okay, I'm coming back. All
right. I'm going to bounce her out for a second. But yeah, today, we had Maureen Hartlett. Robert Alessi was kicking off like towards the end of the afternoon of testimony and started to get into. And then what we found out was the mirrored image, another mirrored image of a said photograph of the piece of cocktail glass. And the thing that's funny to me is that the Commonwealth wants you to believe, they want this jury to believe that a piece of a cocktail glass laying the way that it was, that we saw today in those photos, and we've seen them in trial 1, placed on top of that bumper, along with this said human hair, traveled 60 miles from Dighton to Canton PD in a blizzard, 27 mile an hour winds, salt and sand all over the road, up on a flatbed, that magically, this had the power. Ugh, the piece of glass had that power to hold on. Just hold on all the way. And that said human hair to hold on all the way. It's bullshit. This jury has to be seeing through all this. And they were not confirmed on day 1 that this is a bullshit trial. Then they have to by now. We had reports, like I said on the other night when we talked, reports inside the courtroom. And we're going to talk about this when Jess comes back. That during Yuri Buchanan's testimony, jurors were actually laughing, chuckling, writing notes, and chuckling. I got to say, my friends, if they're not seeing it now, they're not seeing it here in day 15. I don't know when they will. All right, we're just going to wait for Jess to come back here. So yeah, Karen Read is sick. Look, we know about her said medical conditions. This has come out in trial 1. Listen, I know Jess had a conversation with Karen just about maybe a week and a half ago and about consuming, food or liquids during the trial. And it's not like Karen, if she has to use the restroom, can just get up and go, I got to use the restroom. I got to go. They're not going to stop trial for her. So I'm sure that she's limiting her water intake, limiting her food intake, because you're sitting all day. I know that when I drink a lot of liquid and I sit, what's the first thing you have to do? Use the restroom. And she doesn't have that capability and that ability to do it. So she only has those court mandated breaks that she can go out and use the restroom. So I'm sure she's not hydrating properly or eating properly during these long day sessions. And I'm going to tell you, it is hot inside that courtroom. I know someone was saying something the other day, oh, you're a pussy, man up. It is hot in that courtroom. I mean, even on a 75-degree day, the day that I was there, it was probably well over 80 or 90 degrees inside that courtroom. I'm going to bring Jess back in. Jess, welcome back. No, she can hear me.
Oh my God, I Steez.
Can you hear me?
I can. It's definitely me. It's not you. It's me.
Sure, yeah, you're better now. Yep.
Oh shoot.
No, you're good.
Okay.
So, Jess, I was talking about Karen being sick, and I know that you had a conversation with her about a week and a half ago about how she's been limiting her water and food intake, during the trial, because it's not like she can get up and just go use the bathroom. Tell us a little bit about that. Oh, she might be frozen. And we'll go to this here. Bestie says stress plays into those ailments as well, and her stress has to be off the charts. I completely agree. Completely agree. Tesha, thank you so much. She says, I love this channel and Free Karen Reed, and thank you for being a channel member. I appreciate that. Let's see. I don't know if Jess is still there. She looks like she's frozen in time. Jess, you there?
No. Can you
I can hear you.
hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you? It's all right. This happens. It happens. Don't worry.
Can I do this from my phone, Brian?
Absolutely. Yep, you sure can. Yep, you sure can. All right, I'm going to kick Jess out. She'll come back on her phone. Let me just text her really quick. Sorry, everybody. Look at stuff like this happens. We're not perfect. Come in. Hang on a second. We'll get the show going. Don't worry. We'll get the show going. Let me just send her a link. Let's see. Bear with me, everybody. I'm going to send Jess a link, and we're going to get the show going. I am excited. All right. Let me send Jess a link, and she should be good. All right. So thanks for hanging with us. Again, a little bit of technical difficulties. Hey, these things happen. It happens. It's okay. She will be back. Laura says, hey, it's no worries. It's worth the wait. And I definitely agree that it is worth the wait. Gotta love electronics. We kindly wait as long as it takes. Thank you so much. We're going to just have Jess come in on her phone. She says, YouTube has been weird today. Okay. So maybe this is just a thing that's going on across YouTube. I know sometimes that when there's a lot of people on StreamYard, this can happen as well too. Let's see. We got Jess back. Jess, hello.
Oh my God, besties.
All right.
For crying out loud. I'm so sorry.
Okay. It's all right.
Let's go.
So we were talking about, Karen being sick. Obviously, we were going back and forth and, talking, trying to figure out what was ultimately going on. I know that you had a conversation with her about a week and a half ago about her limiting her food and water, because it's not like she can just get up and go, I need to use the restroom. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a really weird day. She came out and we had a little bit longer than break than usual. And she was like snacking on like a granola bar and like offering them to everybody. And she was just talking about that and how she can't eat and she definitely can't drink and how disruptive it would be for her to have to keep getting up. And I think again, I am always looking at this now from the perspective that Karen is innocent and how much of a sacrifice it has been for her to go through this. She's not even living in her own home. She sold her home. She lives with her parents. And during the trial, she's living up here. Like she's not at home. Like, I mean, I can't not be in my bed with my pillow like more than like 5 days. Like we're talking months and years. And it's taking its toll on her. I remember her early in the court. I think it was maybe the first day I ran into her downstairs and she said something about like, it's really hard when she's having days not feeling well, she can't take a day off because it's such a big deal. So she's cognizant of that. She understands what an undertaking it is to get everybody there. And I definitely don't think anybody is doing something without like real thought and it being necessity. So, I mean, she's fragile. normally. And I think that she's very fragile now. I saw some comments from a lot of people on the day that she was sick saying that she had not looked good the day before. Obviously, I'm not in the courtroom, so I don't know. But I mean, honestly, Brian, you've seen her. She weighs like nothing. She's tiny, tiny, tiny.
Yeah.
Mr. Reed as well. He looks so frail.
Yeah.
It's just got to be a lot. I mean, anytime you have some sort of like life event and trauma, it affects your health in some way. So yeah, she's working through that, obviously.
Yeah, I don't normally like to comment on that stuff, but I did make the observation when I got to sit in court and I got to go out and have lunch with the defense team. And, when I saw Karen, I said, oh, wow, she looks really, really petite.
I want to have lunch with the defense team. I want to have lunch with, I have always stayed far away from them because I felt like it gave me more credibility, like as a journalist, and people would obviously attack you, right? Oh, you're in with the Reeds, like you've gotten it and Aiden has gotten it. But like, I think that's like great for a journalist or a YouTuber to have access like that, to see them and then be able to share those observations. So, I mean, like I'm cold inviting myself straight out. Like I would like lunch.
And I gotta say, like, I tackle it in the way of, I'm always very appreciative when I have those opportunities to do that. I usually am very reserved. I don't say much. I just kind of observe. And if someone wants to approach and have a conversation with me, that's usually how I handle those situations, because I just like to listen. I like to listen.
Right.
I mean, this is a very powerful moment. This is a very interesting room with a lot of powerful people in it. And to be able to hear and listen to maybe some of their strategy when they go back into court, or listen to those conversations about, certain pieces of testimony that they may be talking about. But I can honestly say there really wasn't a lot of that. It was just people eating really quick and like, we got to get back to court. So, it is a great opportunity when I have the opportunity to do that. And of course, spend time with her family as well, especially her brother, Nathan, and, ask some questions, of things that might be going on, or getting some clarity into some motions, or, maybe the way that a witness is particularly stating something, and just hearing it from the family side of you is always a great insight as well too. So, I look forward to those conversations when I can have them. So anyway, Karen was out sick. Trial resumed today. Obviously, we had the Mass State Police crime lab tech on there towards the end of the day. I did get to watch some of that. Alessi was up there hammering away, challenging the piece of glass shards on the bumper, the apparent human hair that was found on the back of Karen's vehicle, and then obviously the red Solo cups. And I want to talk about this, Jess. So Karen Reed is out sick, and then about 3 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, we hear something about Aiden, and something about additional charges or indicted, and the internet is just going crazy. And I'm, my first natural thing is to go to Meredith's Twitter stream and say, what's going on? And she just basically said, we're in court. What did you hear about that particular situation, if anything?
Well, I mean, first, it seems like there might be a pattern emerging on days where he has court, something gets filed or dropped. So what I'm a pessimist when it comes to Aiden's cases, right? Every option is on the table. So it was last time that he was in there, and, there was a bail revocation hearing, right? So that was supposed to happen that day, but he was going in for something else. Now here he's going to court with Lindsay for her motion to dismiss. And that's the lawsuit in regards to like defamation and saying that he's a rapist. And then they drop these charges. So I think it's strategic. I think it's poised so that in the event that he has a successful hearing that was scheduled, he can't celebrate that, or he won't find relief with that hearing because now he has something else. So just from a strategy perspective, I think it isn't a coincidence that, the past 2 times he's been in court, there's been a new filing. So there's that. Second, this is just related to what happened the last at the D&E Pizza. So this is when he was there with the glare. This, they had a hearing about revoking his bail, saying that it was, obviously something that would fit the bill there. It didn't happen. And now he's getting indicted for it. I mean, it's nothing new. It isn't a new thing. It's already happened. We're expecting to hear some sort of a ruling on the motion to dismiss the other intimidation charges. So when we were in court on that, which was not this week, it was last week, I think it was supposed to be 10 to 14 days. We're coming close to the end of that. So we're expecting to hear something in that. I mean, if you're optimistic, everything gets dropped because, you know, this judge really has a very difficult job, which is to set the precedent and say, you know, in this instance, this cannot be considered intimidation, you know, like, and I'm not a lawyer. I did go to school this year. I took some paralegal courses in the fall and then this spring. And so also we've been in court a lot and we're watching court and we're watching attorneys, and I would never be so bold as to say I am one. However, I learn a lot about the law, and if you read the law as written, what he did is not intimidation of a witness. It's just not. It's covered under freedom of speech. There are some things that aren't there that need to be there. And I think that the judge has a very heavy job of making sure that he does this right. And, you know, judges are of the utmost, like, you know, members of our society, right? They do no wrong. They rule on things, but they are regular people. And what I've learned, and I think everybody else has learned, is judges are not completely impartial, and politics plays a big role in what happens in courthouses. Unfortunately, I think that's why we're all kind of shattered with this case with Karen and with Aiden. It's that I think, like, the idea of what we've always thought these courthouses mean isn't quite that. You know, it's not perfect. They're not always right. They do get it wrong. They do get influenced from things on the outside. So, they do huff. They do show exasperation, you know, like, now I've seen some judges that are stone faced and you never see a reaction from them, but it's not quite the same in this courtroom with Karen, right? And we've seen different judges with Aiden, where we've seen them like really interpret the law one way, and then we've seen the other judges go, he's a satirist. This is not real, you know? So I think these are very important. I think Aiden's case is very important for many other reasons. It sets the precedent for a lot of us too, like for us and what we do.
100%. I mean, it sets free speech here in Massachusetts. This is a super important case. Super important case. And the thing that I always laugh about, Jess, is that, you know, we came from, 250 years ago, and when we fought back against tyranny, yeah, it's about taxes, and I get that, but it's about government rule. Okay, we were supposed to be the state that fought back, and we've become this state of very government rules. And I find that it's laughable. I mean, the American Revolution started here, and that was to fight back against Britain and just say, fuck off, we're going to do it our own way. And we've become one of the most law heavy states through our court system and our policing here. And it just makes me laugh all the time when I think about this stuff.
Well, the other thing too, and that's a really great point, and law heavy, I guess what you're saying, and lawsuit crazy and things like that. But I think what is also something that's emerging is a manipulation of the court system and laws. I did a tremendous amount of research on Lindsay Gattani and all of her cases. And it was very obvious that, once she saw that a restraining order had power for her in her personal relationships, she perpetually uses those to benefit herself, comfort her, make herself feel better, or to gain leverage in personal relationships with people, whether it's parents or whether it's boyfriends or fathers of her children. And I've seen it myself happen where people use the law and these restraining orders. And, it's a very low threshold, unfortunately, for restraining orders. You can say something, and judges always want to err on the side of caution for protection because, God forbid, they don't issue it and something happens. But I mean, society is evolving, right? And I don't know, it's just we've seen more of that, where it's kind of like what's happening in Aiden's case is, is this really intimidation, or is this really to stop him from talking, or is this to put him in jail so he can stop the narrative? And if you are one of the people, and many people, who believe Karen Read is framed, this whole thing makes sense about what happened with Aiden. It clearly makes sense that they wanted to stop him. And Brian, you and I know, and many people know, the Ken Mello conversations with Lindsay Gattani, the interaction, the setup. I mean, This is heavy
Tully,
stuff.
I mean, Tully involved. I mean, all that stuff, Jess. I mean, the night
It's
that he went
really,
over there, she's communicating to Tully. She's talking to Mello. I mean, it's all there in the open. I mean, it's so fucking obvious what they're trying to do and what they've been trying to do since day one. I mean, I'm going back to trial one, even before all that trial started, what they were trying to do to him.
Yeah. I mean, listen, girls by nature have trust issues. And I'm going to tell you something. You know, you've got what's happening to Karen, and then you see like the way that the Commonwealth, I mean, can anybody in Massachusetts talk about the Commonwealth anymore? Like the way that we used to? We can't. We have to think about it now. I mean, listen, the other thing too, and I'll let you continue to navigate the show because you're so good at it. But like, you know, the Sandra Birchmore case and the text messages between her and what's his face and them saying there were none. Yep. And then obviously finding them later is such an important piece to the Karen Reed case and the investigation and the people involved. And my only hope is that jurors have somehow seen that cross their phones or cross their screens over the past year, and they recognize those names and they put two and two together and they know that story. Because I understand from a legal perspective, the judge can say that's not admissible in this case, but how can you look at this case any differently? I mean, and the same way when you know that there was another cover up of a murder involving some of these same players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Garino. I mean, he's the one that extracted the text message, but didn't see anything. 32,000, 30, but I didn't see anything. But you know, and then it has access to phones extractions in the Karen Reed case. A little funky, a little weird, a little scary, you know. And I have to say, I mean, Jess, we're 15 days in. Okay, we just saw disastrous testimony from Yuri Buchanan the other day. I know you were in court a couple of days there when he was on the stand. Not towards the heavier latter part, but I know Sue O'Connell the other day was literally tweeting about that there were some jurors that were actually having audible laughing at his testimony and just write multiple notes. When you were in there, how was the jury, seeing and looking into his testimony?
Same. I mean, we've obviously had some jurors loosen up and we're seeing more and more reaction from them. I've confirmed with Sue that some of the jurors that she's talking about are the ones that I personally have observed as well. If you're a Karen Reed supporter, I get that you want to know what these jurors are doing. It's part of that wall that you want to break through. You can't see, you want to know. But I'm beginning to feel as if this makes these jurors targets. And I secretly am now hoping that they kind of reel it all in and maybe just put on some poker faces and maybe not react as much. I understand some of the testimony and the way that Buchanan talks and is so defensive and holds ground and won't give anything until it's completely extracted out of him, right? And that's frustrating. And the body language of some of these jurors is very obvious. But on the other side of that, Brian, there are some people that are not making any reactions at all. So there's no way to know what those people are thinking. I'm thinking of a couple in particular. I see nothing at all. So again, we don't know who's going to be a alternate. I pray that we have transparency with the selection in that process. I'm having a problem with court transparency. Obviously, we'll talk later about, what's going on with the media selection and this randomizer. But there's no I can't see. We need to be able to see things. I say this all the time, not just with this case, but in like politics and local like government. Like, show us everything so you don't have to be defensive, so nobody accuses you of anything. And it's backwards. It's like secretive first, and then you have to pull away the layers to get what's really happening. It shouldn't be that way. It should just be all transparent up front first, and so there's no doubt.
I completely agree. If you're just coming in right now, please make sure to smash that like button. My guest this evening is Jess Machado. She's a courtroom insider on the Karen Reed retrial. She actually was in there on trial one as well too. And this is the Wednesday night rundown. Jess, I just want to change gears a little bit here and talk about today. We obviously saw and they cut the testimony because I think because of the age, but putting, John O'Keefe's niece back up on the stand, Kaylee, and kind of making her testify again. And I felt like, again, this is a low blow from the Commonwealth. These children have been through so much, through, the deaths, and then obviously trial 1 and having it up in trial 1, and then now having them come back and retestify in trial 2. My opinion, I think it's a major low blow. Why keep putting these kids through this traumatic experience? Because they're at a very young age, in a young stage of their life, and it's gonna have some heavy iron here. It's gonna be what's the word I'm looking for? Instilled in the brain. How do you feel about this, putting children up in the stand? I don't like it.
I remember one of our shows last year, we talked about this. Obviously, I'm a mom. I'm also a stepmother. And so the dynamic of parenting children that are not yours, I understand it very well. And I think there are plenty of women and fathers as well, but women that understand what it's like, and that kind of like fine line of being a friend, but also being a parent, but you're not a parent. So can you parent? And I think, it's very obvious from text messages that neither Karen nor John wanted to be parents. This is something that they were thrown into, and they were doing the best that they can. I actually think Karen was doing a better job than John. And I think that from what I've heard, obviously only things that I've read and heard. So putting kids on the stand is wild to me, because these kids have experienced trauma. They've lost their mother, they've lost their father, they've lost their caretaker and their uncle. And it's like, is that not enough? Like, if I'm going to say this, like, I've always had this in my head. If something happened to my kids and we had some trauma, I would pack it up and move the fuck away. I would never want to be around where the trauma was. Now, I understand they've got family and maybe they need the support, but the last thing in this case I would do is drag these kids in here. Now, we don't know. Maybe these kids are saying, I want to. JJ's dead and I want to do this. We don't know. But I'm just going to say, where are the adults that are saying this is a core memory that does not need to be made, in my opinion. Yeah. And I'm not sure it's going to influence the jurors in any way, shape, or form. Listen, every juror on there is an intelligent person. From the youngest to the oldest, they're smart enough to understand every witness that gets called. And it's coming late in the game, right? This isn't at the beginning where you don't really know, like, how does this work?
Right. Where you're building character, like you're getting the family up there and talking. That was the strategy last time. They brought Paul up really quick, and they started to build this character. They brought the kids up right away. But really, you're gonna do this? You know why they're doing it? Because the fucking Commonwealth's case is sinking so bad in front of their face. They need, they need the sympathy vote now. I call it like the sympathy vote. So let's put the kids up on the stand and gain this jury back. I think it's a disgusting move. And again, I agree with you that, this is going to be branded in their brains for the rest of their life, where, maybe, a year ago, they could have started getting into, some therapy and working through this, but let's traumatize them more and get them back up at the stand. Absolutely disgusting move by the Commonwealth.
I'm not sure. Maybe there's a step parent or two on that jury that understands what it's like to have to co-parent and I don't know. Listen, I know Christina Rex actually published her notes from today. I hadn't had a chance to read them. I'm looking forward to reading her actual notes about that. I also don't understand why laptops aren't allowed so that people can actually tweet and take notes. If you're putting them on a stand, you're putting them in there. Press should be able to report on them. Obviously, there was a little hiccup there. Apparently, one of the kids' names was actually read out loud and broadcast. We received an email and said, here's the policy on this. But I guess I had friends that messaged me and said that they heard it. I'm just not sure. It's pretty well known and you can find it very easily. And so I understand the privacy, but hey, let's avoid it altogether and just not put them on there. Do me a favor. Instead of putting teenage kids who have lost their parents and their uncle on the stand in front of strangers and have to talk about their relationships and all these things, why don't somebody show me a video of Karen running John O'Keefe over? Because this is a murder trial. And I'd like to see the murder. I'd like to see the murder, and I'd like to see somebody show me that she did it and put it all together, because it's day whatever. And like you said, and we haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, and I agree. And I literally have this in my notes. I'm still waiting for the Commonwealth to prove that Karen Read hit John O'Keefe and left him for dead. I say that in every program. All I've seen is bloody clothes, a manipulated taillight, some hair fibers, some glass that supposedly fucking stayed on the back. I mean, literally perched on the back of a bumper and went from Dighton through a blizzard. And I found this out today. Robert Alessi said 27-mile-an-hour winds. 27-mile-an-hour winds on the back of a tow truck in a fucking blizzard to Canton PD, and we're supposed to believe that piece of glass just magnetically stayed on the back of that bumper. It's fucking insane.
I didn't believe it last time. I don't believe it this time. It's beyond incredulous. Nobody believes that. I mean,
well, John DePietro does. Jess, John DePietro does, and we're going to talk about him in a minute.
Stop.
Because I know that you tweeted something at him about, and now what he's doing now. All right. So anyway, let's get a little first. Let me pause real quick. I just want to get this. Stormy Ray, thank you for becoming a new member. I appreciate that. Sophie, 8-month member, thank you so much. You're a moderator. You're always here. Love having you on the show, Jess. Thank you. And Nathan Reed checking in with the $5 super chat says, great duo tonight. And also, I don't want to not recognize, I also saw Kelly Reed in the chat as well. Hello, Kelly. How are you? And how are you, Nathan? Let's talk a little bit about John DePietro. So John DePietro was not around he was only around for trial one, maybe a handful of times, but now it's he's down there every day, and he's basically trolling everybody, trying to make a name for himself here in the retrial. I want to share a couple of tweets, and I know that you came at him pretty hard. I love this shit. Now he's posting all this stuff like, oh, he's the victim. You know, John is the victim. Justice for John. He's a big justice for John guy. Big justice for John guy. But the funny thing is, deep down inside, these fuckers know that Karen Read didn't do this. They're just trying to make a name for himself. So he goes, oh, jury expected to hear gripping testimony of Karen Read waking up the 14-year-old girl and telling her that John did not come home. So we have that fantastic tweet. Then he puts this tweet out the day that Karen is actually sick and says, question, would Karen Read claim illness if the trial was going well for her? It's a fair question since she looked fine yesterday in court and was spotted out at the Seaport area on the weekend. Go ahead, Jess. Tell us a little bit about John DePietro.
Sure. So, you know, I also grew up with John DePietro. I mean, you know, he was well known in Rhode Island as a radio personality. And I actually wrote an article, it's probably 4 or 5 years ago now, for WBSM. I hadn't worked for them yet, but I was an occasional contributor, about Jazel Carrere, who is the former mayor of Fall River, who's been indicted on all these charges. He's in jail now. And I made the similarities between Jazel Carrere and Buddy Cianci, the former mayor of Providence, who also went to jail. And there were all these similarities. And John actually had me on his show, and I, you know, called in and talked about the piece or whatever. And he's a conservative. I'm a conservative. So there's that, right? However, I certainly never looked at his work in a way like I'm looking at it now. One of the things that I can't believe happened is that since I've been following him, he has been able to read minds. He literally looks at jurors and he knows exactly what they're thinking. This is what really sent me. Okay. And I've obviously been watching it for a while, right? But like, what I'm getting at is this. We've talked about this, Brian. We see somebody do something and then I type it, and then you deduct what you want from that. You say, well, I'm interpreting that as free Karen Read supporter, right? Like that person not guilty. Or somebody else may say, I'm interpreting that as they're not buying anything that the defense is saying. John DePietro takes that and puts it out there on his own. He makes that decision and assumption and writes it as fact, and it discredits my observations. So if I'm just taking an observation and writing it and putting it out for the world to see, and John DePietro says, I saw this and it means this. Well, what if a regular person goes, well, then Jess Machado's not right? Like, why can't he just fact-based report and tweet out what he sees and then later on say, like, I feel this, like the way I'm saying, I don't believe Karen did it. Why can't he do that? Why does he have to create this like reporting that looks like it's fact. It looks like it's newsy, but it's not. And it's dangerous, I think. And he's there all the time now. He sees this as a money train. He clearly gets it. He sees it's good for his views. What else is he going to report on? He's got nothing.
Yeah, I love it. And he was putting like tweets out today when Maureen Hartnett was on the stand. He's like, oh, what a great, this witness is great and so truthful for the Commonwealth. And I'm like, how do you come to that determination? You know, like,
I mean, to me, he is really just he's a professional grant. Like somebody hired him, or you know what I mean? Like it's the same style of reporting. It's just he's a commentator, but I don't know. It's just I love the other sides of things. I love hearing it. Like as a Republican, I love watching CNN. I've said this. I want to see what they're saying so I can like cultivate like my arguments. So I don't mind his opinion. I don't mind other people's opinion. It's just, doesn't it discredit those of us in the courtroom who are observing jurors and saying something, and then he comes in and says something different, and every single time
of everybody else.
Yeah. And somebody pushed back on me too. And they were like, you know, every time Jess says something about a juror's reaction, it's only when it's in reaction to like something positive for Karen. And that's not true. There are, you know, it just so happens there's just not a lot of it, but there are observations I put in there when I see that it goes the other way. It just doesn't happen often.
Hey, I was critical on my show the other day. I said that when Alan Jackson was doing his cross with Gallagher, I felt like there was a moment. And again, I'm just observing. I'm giving my opinion in this. Okay. Right. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a tacticianal lawyer. But when I see something, I report it. And I said, look, I know that everybody's probably going to get mad at me, but look, I felt that there was a certain part of testimony that Alan Jackson gave Gallagher too much rope on, which he's masterful for reeling him back in. But I got some shit for that because, you know, like, oh, there's no flaws, there's no fuck ups. There are, you know, like it happens, you know, everybody's not perfect. And this team is masterful and they find ways to reel it back in and, you know, and get it back. So I have confidence that the team does that. People slip up, you know, it happens in trials. Everything is not going to be perfect all the time. I mean,
wouldn't you think it's weird if like I say something and you agree with everything? Like it's impossible. So, I mean, I like Bev sometimes, you know, this trial, I'm really not loving it, but like last trial, I really kind of gave her the benefit of the doubt a lot of times. And I do think that she did a really good job with kind of ruling the room. You know what I mean? This time around, no, I'm different now. I have damage, but like, you know, a lot of people push back, but I mean, we can't agree all the time. That's how, you know, it's like honest, fair reporting. It's just observing and sharing. And, you know, for me, John DePietro, we're dealing with this now. It's like people on this list for the media who really shouldn't be in there. I mean, perhaps I fell in that category last year, right? Where people are like, who's this girl? Like, photo reporter is a nobody. She's never done this before. Like, maybe a lot of people, like mainstream media, thought I shouldn't be there. However, there are some people that really shouldn't be there. And it's unfortunate. Like, you know, Brian, like I earn a living off of this. Weeks when I'm not in the courtroom are poor weeks, and weeks when I'm in the courtroom, they're very profitable weeks for me. So it's very frustrating to see some people get in there and not use their passes, not report when they do use them, and then also like create an environment that's not a good work environment. It's just, it's very frustrating. The court really kind of fumbled this whole thing. Had they really come up with a system last year, we would never be where we are today. We're only where we are today because of what happened last year with Grant getting physical and having the police getting called made them have to change the way it worked. If you took Grant and Gretchen out of the picture last year, there was camaraderie, there was professionalism, and we all got it done, and that's it. And it was really just that core group of people with no drama. But because there was no control, you have people like Grant that were like, you know, accosting people. You had Gretchen that were just dropping her chairs in front of everybody. She didn't care. everybody else is professional. Everybody else respects everybody. So we're all paying the price, unfortunately. I mean, poor Ted Daniel, you know what I mean? He's like never in there. It's crazy. And you want people like, you need a diversity in there with like that fact-based reporting. You need the observations for the jury. Although, I mean, shout out to Sue. She's really kind of like taken over where I was with these jurors, and she's giving reactions that everybody wants. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I'm so disappointed in it. And I made that chart today too, because I had already had it going and I just published it today. It's like, how do you get like John DePietro in there 80% of the time? How do you get Grant in there 100% of the time?
Let me pull that chart up in a second, but just to cue in the audience that might be just coming here just for the retrial, because it's been, I mean, there's an explosion about this trial. You were talking on TikTok. It's fucking all over TikTok. You have all these new creators that have come in. The law tubers have jumped all over this. You know, look at, I'm going to be a little bit territorial here. I'm going to be, you know, and rightfully so. And you should be too. I mean, we've been here from day one. You know, we've been here before day one. Where have you all been? And now all of a sudden you're going to jump up and you care about Karen Read? Give me a fucking break. You know, I mean, give me a break. We're the locals here. We're the people that are the true boots on the ground people here. You know, and I find it funny. You know, I reach out to, you know, some certain shows and we're talking about this, you know, I've been there. I'm the guy. I've been there. And they just, you know, like if you want truly what's going on down here in the streets in front of the courthouse, bring Jess on your show. Bring me on your show. I mean, we're going to tell you straight, you know, we know everything that's going on.
No, I have an exclusive contract with Brian LTL Media. I will not go anywhere else.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Listen, let's just go back. I want to talk about seating. We're going to bring that graphic up, and I want you to talk a little bit about this because there's a major disparity of the people that are getting in. And just going back to Grant as well, too, you know, trial one, I think the most moment that I took offensive in all of that, obviously, all the shit that happened to you was ridiculous. And also, you know, here he is that's supposed to be a professional courtroom reporter or just a professional reporter because of mommy. But you know, that incident, I have video of it, is when he's out on the courtroom steps, he's literally flipping people off. And you're supposed to be the guy that's in the courtroom reporting about this. You would never see Ted Daniel do that. I would never see Jess Machado do that. I would never see Sue O'Connell do that. And you're allowed to be in that courtroom. I get it. Free speech, free expression, whatever it is. But I would think there's a certain, piece of professionalism when you're going to the courtroom to report about it. I just find it ridiculous.
I'm going to need that video. I have a restraining order hearing against Grant on the 20th. So the 1 year is up for renewal.
It's on my page. I'll send it to you. Yeah.
So I think you're right. There's obviously nobody acts that way. Just nobody else does. I was obviously targeted in the beginning. I was covering Aiden's cases. I had that first exclusive story with him. And so that made me a target, right, of Grant's right from day one. I remember the very first encounter I had with him. I mean, I will admit, I actually learned to live tweet by watching Grant, right? And I won't hide that. I saw what he was doing at home, live tweeting from these hearings, and was so frustrated because I was like, there's no way he's observing it that way. He's doing the same thing DePietro does. He's attaching, definitive feelings to these observations. And so I went to a hearing and I was like, I'm just going to try observing it as I see it. And, I learned what I do from him, but it was to do it the right way and give readers like the truth. It's just a novel idea. Listen, I clearly will be asking for an extension of this order. I feel like I deserve the right to go to the courthouse and do my job without the threat of being physically accosted. I don't want to be touched. I don't want to be looked at in a suggestive way, the way that he did that time. I don't want what he's done, which is like disparaging me in front of me to my colleagues. It has been peaceful, professional, and I think we need to maintain that. And, I have a hearing coming up and I'm hoping that the judge will see it again that way. Also, we have all witnessed he's very unpredictable and dangerous. And, in a small, I don't know, I'll be quite frank, I can't even think about it because just thinking about being in a space with him makes me very upset. So we're just going to, do what we need to do next week. Is it already next week? It's the 20th. So, and hope for the best.
Oh, yeah. And Sue O'Connell got stuck next to him today. And I loved her tweet. It was kind of funny. She said, My brain is a little off in tweeting today because I have the constant smell of marijuana sitting next to me. Listen, I get it. People smoke pot. Do what you want in your life. I just thought it was I don't smoke pot, but I just thought it was really funny that she put that in there for that tweet.
I have a little PTSD from hearing that because it's true. It's the contact high is real. Yeah.
So let's just back up a little bit before I show this graphic. Just for people that are probably maybe just coming into the retrial, the new subscribers here on the channel, if you can take us back to how the seating was done last year in trial 1, that process was absolutely
Screw you, Brian. Screw you to make me go back over this. It's trauma.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm being facetious. Sure. So originally it was the first day. We didn't know, and it was first come, first serve. You get in line, and apparently the first or second person there was told, listen, they're going to allow 10 in the room. And I showed up at 6:30 that day and made it 9 in line. And I was like, I'm in. And then that was it. You start thinking the next day I've got to get here earlier. And it slowly evolved as more people showed up into like the Hunger Games. You had to get there early. Then mainstream media and legacy media were just paying guys to sit in chairs overnight. I'm driving up there on Sunday to leave my chair and sit there for 3 or 4 hours, then go home and then come back. And then it just started getting crazy. We had Gretchen Voss, who literally, you can't put your chair out at a certain time. Gretchen put her chair out in front of everybody's. It was just crazy. And then obviously the situation with Grant, that was the apex of it all, really. And it was honestly something we've seen. The court was basically hands off. There was no leadership. There was no hey, nobody ever came out and was like, this is how it's going to be. And we were all on our own. And when you have like these weird characters in the mix, they make rules too. They make decisions. And so there was nothing was being governed. And so this year they basically did away with it all and said, you know what, we're not going to let you be on the property. You're not putting chairs out there. I remember, Brian, I'm telling you right now, I saw Hardman see a chair on the ground. He picked it up and he threw it across the grass. He was so like annoyed with these chairs. So yeah, I just think they got rid of it and now it's like a randomizer. I mean, I hate to be so like of a princess about it, but like, okay, this is great, but could we have done one better and maybe have given a schedule and said, this week we're going to have this many, this people, and then next week, these people. So everybody gets a fair shot, because I'll tell you what, Sue O'Connell gets paid whether she's in the courtroom or not. Ted Daniel gets paid when he's in the courtroom or not. But myself and Aiden, we obviously get, more views and more money from when we're able to report from inside. Even Grant, I'm sure he makes more money when he's in there reporting. So it kind of sucks, but I don't know. I still wouldn't sell my soul for legacy media. So it is what it is.
And when I go back to, like even Aiden last year was literally, I remember online, like, can people take shifts for me for my chair? And like, it was awesome. Like, I mean, it's just bullshit that people had to do that, but because you have people that are out there from like midnight till 3 a.m. and they're taking shifts. It's just insane.
Shout out to all my besties who sat for me. Like these people were just so crazy diehards. Like I can't even begin. I love them so much.
She remembers the shifts. Yeah, the shifts. I mean, there were literally people that were posting photos like, I'm out here 12 to 3 for Aiden. And God bless you all for doing that. I mean,
how about we were like taking pictures of our chairs? We were taking pictures of our chairs and stamping them and putting them on my Twitter and being like, here's my chair. Like, I've been here. Like, don't take my spot. It was crazy.
Yeah. Jess.
So if I'm the court, I was just going to say, if I'm the court and I'm bitching and complaining about this graph, right, where I'm not getting in there, they're probably rolling their eyes at me and being like, Jessica, shut up. You asked for this. You didn't want the chairs outside. Now we got a randomizer and you have to deal with it. But I'm still not thrilled with it. So
the randomizer just puts, let's see. So the randomizer just puts Grant in there 100% of the time.
Yeah, he's such a lucky guy.
So anyway, what this is Jess broke down all the news organizations and the reporters that have been inside the courtroom, and you can look at the percentages here. There's a major disparity, and I just find it funny. Look, you have Aiden that's only in there 40% of the time. Jess has only been in there 20% of the time.
One time.
Yeah, once, and you got Grant that's been in there 100% of the time so far.
What do I have to do? What does a girl got to do? Like, I will do like a whole thread on Bev's shoes. I will do like whatever it takes. Like, somebody sent me a message today and was like, you should ask Karen if you could have a seat actually sitting inside the courtroom and not be able to report, but like I can still observe. And I was like, I don't think I could be in there without typing. You know what I mean? I want to be able to share. This is crazy. I mean, I'm so proud of my handiwork here. If you guys were wondering what I did today,
Pedro, he's been in there 80%. 80%, Jess.
Don't get angry, Brian. It's okay. It's going to be okay.
Angry. No, you need to be in that courtroom. You deserve to be in that courtroom. You're reporting a spot on, and we do our Wednesday night shows. So do
you know what I think? Do you know what I've been rationalizing in my head? Like every week I wasn't getting in. And if I was in there, it was because I was on like the alternate list. But I kept telling myself, I'm not in right now, but when it really matters, like the week Proctor's on the stand, your girl's going to be in there, right? I keep telling myself that, or like close to the end, like I'm going to be in. Like, I don't know why I'm delusional like that. Like it's so delulu that I think like that because I'm not in now, I'm going to get in. Like my mother told me today, she's like, you're probably never getting in. And I was like, what? Like I'm joking and I'm being like kind of punchy about it, but like I really think there needs to be transparency with this randomizer. I have trust issues. I have no idea. The randomizer does not take place at this courthouse. It takes place in Boston, where Jen Donahue is. The ladies downstairs in the clerk's office, they just get an email just like me and you. Like they do not have anything to do with it. So somewhere in Boston, in somebody's office, there's a randomizer, and they just plug it in, and then they send an email. Like
I don't believe it.
I think I would pay. How much would I pay to watch a YouTube live of the randomizer? I'd pay $20 a week to watch. I'd pay $50 a week to watch a YouTube stream of the randomizer picking the names. So like I can see it. I would pay.
There's no way that Grant is getting in there based off that randomizer 100% of the time already. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
He is blessed. He is blessed by the Lord, and he is in there every time.
Blessed by the weed Lord. Glamour Sue, thank you so much for the $5. Says Jess, Gretchen has never written one word on this case. She should never get a spot. That chart is going viral. We love you, Jess, and that's awesome. Let me just get to this one too. Bella's mom, $10. Thank you. Says, why is it okay for Grant to go to work, aka court high, just because it's legal? Don't mean you can be impaired in alcohol and wait, hang on a second. Let me get this. Don't mean you can attend impaired. Alcohol is legal, but you can't go to work drunk. Professional rules. I mean, it's a good point. Listen, this is what I'm surprised about. Here we go. The day that I go in and sit in court, okay? The day that you were there and you came into court and I saw you behind the media because you came in, you finally got into court, but you were behind the media. Remember when I was trying to look over to you and just kind of give you like a friendly hey? I get accused of supposedly staring at the O'Keefes. The courtroom officer grabs me and yells at me and basically says, I can't look over in that direction, but yet Grant can go into court smelling like weed. Okay.
Right.
That makes sense.
I was just going to say something, and I'm going to refrain. Listen, he's blessed. I mean, I guess I'm wondering how much longer we have of this trial. Listen, maybe he'll never get back in again. Maybe the irony will be he's been on the list the whole time and there's been a restraining order that's kept him out of there because I've been on site, so he hasn't gone. And maybe the restraining order will lift and he will actually never be picked on the randomizer again.
We can only hope.
That's my fairy tale and I'm sticking to it. The end.
We can only hope. Jess, what do we have coming up? So I got a question. So when do you actually hear about when you're able to go into the courtroom? Do they tell you the night before, or is it like early in the morning?
When you're on the alternate list, or? Yeah,
like when you're actually picked out of the randomizer. How does that, they do it every day?
Oh, no. So the randomizer is for a week. So on Tuesday, on Tuesday, starting at 8:30, we send an email between 8:30 and 4:30 and said we would like to be considered to be part of the press in the courtroom. So
Got it.
I'm sure people send a generic email every time, or maybe even schedule it. I'm crazy. I send a new email every time. I set an alarm on my phone for 8:35, and then I send an email like, "Hi, I'd like to be considered," and I send it. And then the next day, usually between noon and 2, they'll send an email and it'll say, "Here's the list." Now, I originally shared the very first one that showed like that I was on the alternate list, and I got a message immediately telling me that I could not share that email. So that's when I started doing an Excel sheet just so I could have it myself. And if I want to share it, it's mine, it's not theirs. And so, and that's it. So that's good for a whole week. So I was not in court this week. I was not an alternate. I'm not in court next week, and I'm not an alternate. Now, I may actually go to court and hang out in the overflow room only because I tried it out this week. And honestly, Brian, like I'm so detached from the hearing. And also I'm watching from home, and I have dogs and I have my kids, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So maybe I'm not I gardened today. You know what I mean? Like I made that chart today. I wasn't actually watching. So I feel like I could be a little bit more disciplined if I was actually there. So, I mean, the press pool room is available to us. I may go in there and see, but I don't know. It really stinks. I miss being able to observe and let you guys know what's going on.
Yeah. No, I know. And it is frustrating when you're trying to do work and you're not able to go in there. And it's just like we were talking about, that randomizer just gets those lucky people in there every week. And I don't know. I don't think there's transparency. Honestly, I just don't think there's transparency. There's no way that a randomizer is going to pick someone every single week. It doesn't make sense to me. It should be random.
Well,
right?
I feel like now we've got 5 weeks under our belt of the randomizer. I obviously can't wait to see like what this ends up looking like later, but like, I don't know. I guess I can't. I'm telling you, the people who do this, like Jen Donahue is probably like, this bitch should stop complaining. She got hit by Grant outside. We got rid of that for you. We gave you this safe space. And like, if you don't get in, you don't get in. So I guess I'm trying to be grateful, but I don't know. What am I going to do? You know what I mean? Like I watch it with you. We watch what everybody else watches, and people want to know what's going on inside. I can't give it to them. I feel like a failure.
You're not a failure. You're not a failure.
I know.
We love you here. We love you here. What's that?
I said, obviously not. I'm awesome. I'm just saying, like, as a joke.
You are awesome. And we love you here on our Wednesday night rundowns. If you're all just coming in the room, you new subscriber, make sure to subscribe. Jess will be with me throughout the entire rest of the trial, Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I just want to get to this. Claire says, Brian, thank you for doing these shows. You were my first non-lawyer content creator I watched on this case. Thank you. Thank you so much. If you're not subbed up to, or what do you do, a follow on X, right? If you're not following Jess on X, Twitter, you need to at Jess Machado show, and you have a Substack. And I think Glamour Suze is in here, and she'll drop your Substack in here. Can you tell the audience a little bit about your memberships on your Substack if they want to support you?
I hate doing that. And I have actually neglected my Substack from Karen Reed only because I feel like I'm subsidizing my Substack with live tweeting every day. However, one of my mentors messaged me the other day and he's like, resurrect the Substack because it's a good time to kind of get it going. So my Substack's linked in my bio. I think there's a $5 a month, $50 a year, and then like a $100 donation if you want to be like a legacy sponsor. And it's really just where I do my work outside the Karen Reed trial. Obviously, my focus is on corruption, government corruption. I do a lot of records requests and then share that information with you pertaining to your government. And I do politics too. So a lot of my writing pertains to those things. And I've broken some really great stories. I'm really proud of those things that I've been able. Thank you, Brian. You know, and it all kind of all ties into the Karen Reed thing, you know, lack of transparency in government officials thinking that they can do what they want when they want, and then not being held accountable. And I think there's kind of like, you know, I guess to use the word, like you said, like a little bit of a revolution going on here where there's enough of people that are just like, we're not going to take this. And it gets messy, you know, like everybody like kind of like knocks Aiden, right? And it's very easy for the haters to hate him because it looks messy, but like the end justifies the means. And what he's doing is to kind of hit those benchmarks of winning these hearings and winning these cases and setting the precedent that, like, this is okay. You are allowed to do this. You are allowed to question government. You are allowed to question the police, which is hard for a lot of people. I'm a back the blue girl through and through. As a Republican, it's like, I mean, especially during the Black Lives Matter movement, we were behind these people. It's such a mental thing in your head. It fucks you up where you're like, how can you love these cops and then see these dirty cops and be like, how can I trust? You know what I mean? It's hard. And so they've shattered a lot of trust, and you know that. And especially the Birchmore thing is just another level. And so anyway, I think it's all very important, and the work I do is all related and tied into that. So not anything involving another terrible murder, although the Jacob Pothier case, I believe, was a murder. And I know that will eventually come out, but that's the kind of work that I do. So if you're on my Substack, that's what you're supporting.
Yeah, and and just going back to your point of the trust in law enforcement, I back the blue as well, the good blue. I think just a lot of it is, and what you said, that it's hard for people to come around and say, I can't believe this. I can't believe this, because what are we taught as kids? What are we taught through our school systems and through our parents? Hey, that's a police officer. You need to trust him.
No.
And we're seeing, every day, more and more and through this nation of all of the dirty cops that are just doing things. And thank God for people like you and Aiden and all these amazing other creators. And maybe I'll just put this, myself in that category, that we get out there and we talk about, we expose it and just say, look, shit needs to change here in our communities. We can't keep going on like this. I don't want to talk about another dead police officer. I don't want to talk about another girl that's underage, that's raped repeatedly for years by a police officer. I don't want to report on those stories. I want to report, and it doesn't sound cheesy, but I want to report on the police officer that's saving someone from killing themselves, or the firefighter that's climbing the tree to get the kitten down. You know what I mean? But I'm getting tired of these stories, Jess.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, another facet of what I do, Brian, is I uncover like teacher-student relationships in schools, right? In high schools, which is rampant. And it's like the Catholic Church and the scandal here in Massachusetts, right? Where we saw this obvious abuse that was taking place. It's leadership power roles over weak, lesser people. So whether it was the church over altar boys, whether it's teachers over students, whether it's police over pedestrians or like lay people, it's a power role where there is a certain level of people looking up to these people, adulation, viewing them as leaders in the community. And then those people are taken advantage of by the bad ones in the group. Not every priest is a rapist. Not every teacher, wants to have a relationship with a student, and not every cop is going to cover up a crime. However, it's just it's a power thing, and it's obvious. And, for me, I've learned, start looking at everywhere where there's power and there's somebody underneath, because there is always an opportunity for something bad to happen. And I think it's very obvious. And also, we live in a day and age where everything is on social media. We see everything faster. Everybody can expose things more. Theories get thrown around, and from one thing becomes another thing. And that's what happened with the Pothier case. And for those of you who don't know, there was a student in New Bedford who died in a car accident. He was having a relationship with a former employee there. A small comment on a post about this death, piqued my interest. And I spoke with that person, and I was like, what are you talking about here? And from that one little comment on the thread, buried in like 300 comments, I uncovered a relationship between a student and a teacher, that it was covered up by the school district. I mean, it's just so social media, I'm one of those people that love it. I know some people hate it. I think it's been all good. Good things come out of it, as long as it's responsible. So anyway, I went on a tangent there, but go ahead.
Fine. No, I agree. And we appreciate you peeling back the onion layers in that case. And I'm sure that, more will come out soon about it. I just want to get to this. Pamela, thank you so much for the 1999 super sticker. I appreciate that. All right, Jess. Look, we got a couple more days here of trial this week. I'm hoping that you get into the, you at least get down to that courtroom, because I know a lot of people are missing. I saw in the comments here of your 24 and 24. I love it. I think it's a great.
Oh my
catchy
God, I
segment.
was thinking about it. I was thinking about the 24 and 24 today, how much I miss it. Like, I don't know. I was just looking, I was listening at the last one and I was like, oh man, I really, really miss this. Yeah,
Well,
it stinks.
I miss your, are you gonna fucking let me go, motherfucker? We need more of
I mean,
that.
I'm a Massachusetts driver through and through. I'm a Fall River girl. I mean, I don't know. It's like the ghetto comes out of me when I'm driving. You guys understand what's going on there? Like, people are crazy drivers. I just, whatever. Yes. I miss the besties on the drive home.
It's so good. It's so good. Jess, any last comments for the audience? And then we'll pick this back up next week at 8 p.m. If you, like I said, if you're just coming into the channel and you're new here, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow Jess on X at Jess Machado Show, and I'll drop her link here in the chat. Make sure you get subbed up to her there, and you can follow her there. She does little segments and X spaces on her account, and you can get to her links to her Substack account to support her as well. And she's been our courtroom insider during the Karen Read retrial. Jess, any final words here before we wrap this one up?
No, I mean, my hope is Karen is well and taking care of herself. I think we're still going to end in a hung jury, and I think that there will not be a conviction on any of these charges. And hopefully I'll be in the courtroom so I can share these jury reactions. And that's it. I mean, I wish I had more for you guys this week. It's been a weird week too. Obviously, we missed a day. It was kind of a slow day today with the media blockout. So yeah, if there was a week to miss, this is a good one. We'll see what the schedule is like next week. I feel like as the weather's getting warmed up, Bev's getting a little antsy. She wants to have some free time. So we'll see if we have
350.
like clockwork. I can see in the courtroom. I can see she starts moving around. She leans back in her chair, and when the clock starts getting closer to 4, she starts leaning forward. She's kind of feeling out when the time is, when she can interrupt. So we'll see what the schedule is like next week. For the sake of me, I hope it's a light one, so that I'm not missing much. But I'm watching with the besties, just like the rest of you. I saw the best like meme or TikTok or whatever, and it was the day that the trial was canceled. And somebody's like, so my show's not on today. And I was just like, people are there. I'll end with this. There are more people watching this than last year by far. My husband works for Comcast. He only works with men. And sometimes he will call me from work and he'll be like, the guys want to know about this. And he puts me on speaker. And these guys from Comcast are like invested. It's a whole new demographic of people. I told you the TikToks are crazy. The memes are crazy. Everything is influencers making their videos and their take on it. And I'll tell you what, every single one of them is Karen Read was framed. So,
and I'm going to tell you, you know where they all got it from? They all got it from us because we're the local people here. We've been reporting it, and I cannot leave out the one that broke the story, one Aiden Turtle Boy Carney. So thank God for him. Thank God for him. He was a God sent on this case to blow this thing wide open and gave us the doorway to step in and help as well. So we need people like you. We need people like Aiden and all these fantastic creators that have been here since, I say, day one. You know, we've all been here, and I appreciate the audience sticking with us because I know there's a lot of people that are in higher positions on these platforms that gain a lot of traction really quick because of maybe the status or the work that they do. But I appreciate the audiences that will come to these platforms still and listen to what we have to say down here as being the true boots on the ground.
Agreed. And also, I feel like, listen, some of these people are new. I'm not as territorial as you because I'm not a creator. I'm a journalist. You're a creator. And I think it's a big difference. And what you do, you're protective of it, and rightfully so. You'll be here after this because you were here before it. And, you know, these people that are coming in for the Karen Read stuff. I mean, listen, I don't hate people for seeing the opportunity. And I did it. I just, you know, we'll see who's around after it's all said and done. I know what we'll be like. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And you know, the more exposure, the better. But I just said, I appreciate the audience that stuck with all of us because there's a lot of content out there right now. And there's a lot of people reporting and giving their points of view. But I appreciate everybody that's come to these channels. We'll end with this one. Nathan Reed in the chat, Jess, says, Jess is one of the best, and I completely agree. Again, Jess Machado here, Courtroom Insider and free Karen Reed, and Karen. Here we go, the creator in me. Karen Reed, retrial reporter. During this, she's going to join me again on Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I look forward to joining up with her next week and talking the Karen Reed case.
Thanks, Bri. Thanks, besties.
Thank you, Jess. I appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Take care. All right. I just want to do this before we go. We're going to wrap up. I had a couple Vemos come in. I appreciate it. $20, sending positivity your way. This is from Alicia. Should appreciate all that you do. Thank you so much. Kathleen, thank you so much for a $10 Vemo. She says, my nephew just met Nathan today, and it was quick. He said hi because I didn't want to get arrested in the buffer zone. And sorry, I can't get the whole message there because I just have it in text form, but I appreciate that. Look, I want to surprise everybody really quick of all of what I've been doing here in the studio over the last 24 hours. My beautiful handcrafted table from Podcast Tables came in the other day. This is an American-made product. I'm super happy about it, and I'm super excited because it has completely changed the dynamics of this room. Let me open up the camera here, and this is what you're going to see on Sunday. So I'm going to give you a little preview. You're just going to have to ignore my front-facing camera that will obviously be moved out of the way, but let me give it to you right here. It's a little bit of a surprise. And now we can actually have people that sit at a table and have a true podcast experience. So again, I love everybody for checking in. I'm excited for Sunday. We're going to have Meredith O'Neill in here on Sunday for the Sunday Super Show with my co-host, Lauren DC. We're going to do some Karen Reed fundraising, and it's going to be nice because we're going to test out the brand new table. Again, thank you all so much for watching this evening. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for LTL Thursday Night Heat, where we break down, Thursday Night Thunder, where we break down all of the thunderous testimony. I appreciate that. On the way out, congratulations, Brian, from Proctor's Proclivities. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, I'm going to hit the outro. Everybody have a great night, and we will all talk soon. Peace.